Hi everyone, this is Mr. Chen. So today I'm going to give you some more examples about equations of straight lines. So please turn to a new page of your notebook, write down the date of today and the learning target. More examples about equations of straight lines. Okay, so I'm going to give you two examples. And the first one will be example 4.5. Okay, the first example is example 4.5 in your textbook, page 4.15. So let's take a look of the questions together. In the question, there are two straight lines, L1 and L2. They intersect at point P with the coordinates 1 and B. So I highlight the words intersect and the point P. At the same time, I mark it down, I put a cross at the intersection P on the figure. Okay. Also, it is given that the slope of L2 is negative 3 over 2. Okay, part A, it asks you to find the value of B. So please mark it down on the questions. When you see the word intersect, that means L1 and L2 both pass through P. Okay, L1 and L2 pass through P. That means the coordinate of P can be substituted back into either equation L1 or L2. But in this question, L2 is not given. So that means we can substitute this value into L1. So for part A, we simply substitute P, 1 and B into L1, which is y equals to 1 over 2 x plus 1. As you can see, 1 is representing the x coordinate and b is representing the y coordinate. Therefore, after substitution, we will get b equals to 1 over 2 times 1 plus 1. And finally, b is equals to 1 over 2 plus 1 and b is 3 over 2. Okay, then I just simply put the value b equals to negative 3, b equals to 3 over 2 back into the figures. Okay, so I mark it down 3 over 2 as b. Then for part B, it asks you to find the equation of L2. So it is given that the slope of L2 is negative 3 over 2. So that means m is equals to negative 3 over 2, while the coordinates of P is are already known. So 1 is x1 and 3 over 2 is y1. Therefore, we can apply the equation of straight line. Equation of L2 will be y minus y1, that is 3 over 2, equals to the slope m, negative 3 over 2, times x minus x1, that is 1. And therefore, the next step will be removing the bracket. Y minus 3 over 2 equals to negative 3 over 2x plus 3 over 2. And finally, make y to be the subject. Y is equals to negative 3 over 2x plus 3. And this is the answer of part B1. Okay, then for part B2, it states that, or it asks you that, does L2 passes through -4 and 8. Okay, so in these questions, if we want to test if the coordinates passes through the straight line, then we can directly use the substitution. Okay, substitute the values into L2 to test if this point, if L2 passes through the point. Okay, so by y is equals to -3/2x plus 3. We can substitute -4, 8 into L2. Therefore, for left hand side, it is equals to 8. And for right hand side, it is equals to -3/2 times -4 plus 3. And finally, it is equals to 6 plus 3, which is equals to 9. And this value doesn't equals to 8. So as you can see, these two values are not equal. So therefore, because left hand side does not equals to right hand side, so L2 does not pass through -4 and 8. Okay, this is the end of this example, and I'm going to demo. So the next example will be examples 4.7 in your textbook, page 4.18. So let's take a look of the questions together. So in this example, there are two straight lines, L1 and L2 again, and they intersect. So I highlight the word intersect, okay, at point P with the coordinates 4 and 5. Okay, so I will put a cross in the figures representing the intersection. Okay, and the next sentence, two straight lines L1 and L2 cut the y-axis at Q and R respectively. And part A, it asks you to find the coordinates of Q. As you can see, Q and R, Q is Q lines on y-axis. So that means we know that the x-coordinate must be 0. And the y-coordinate is an unknown. Also, we notice that this point Q passes through L1. It is on L1. So that means we can put this value 0 and y into the equation of L1. So for part A, by the equation of L1, y equals to 1/2 x plus 3. When x is equal to 0, we can find the value of y. 1/2 times 0 plus 3, which gives us y equals to 3. Therefore, the coordinate of Q is equals to 0 and 3. So afterwards, because we already know the y coordinate of Q, then we can put it back on the figure. So there is no longer y. Instead, we can put it back into 0, 3. Okay, then for part B, it is given that the area of triangle PQR is 10 square units. B1, it asks you to find the coordinate of R, and B2 asks you to find the equation of L2. Okay, so for B1, so let's take a look of the figures again. So when we take a look of the coordinates of P, this value 4 is representing the horizontal distance. Okay, the horizontal distance. So in this triangle, it is representing the height of the triangle. Okay, the next will be, that means the QR is an unknown, but it is representing the base of the triangle. So in this question, we will let B units, B, Q, and R be the length of QR. Okay, using the area of the triangle, that means B times the height 4 divided by 2 will equals to the area of the triangle 10. Therefore, after simplifying the equation, 2B equals to 10 and B will be equals to 5. Okay, great. So we know that the base will be equals to 5. So I mark it down. I put the values back into the figures so that we know that B equals to 5. Okay, so based on Q is equals to 0 and 3, and then R is 5 units above. So therefore, the coordinates of R will be equals to 0 and then 3 plus 5. And finally, it gives us that it is 0 and 8. So again, I put it back into the figures so that we know that the value is 0 and 8. Okay, finally, for part B2, it asks you to find the equation of L2. So let's take a look of the figures. So in these figures, we have already have two coordinates for L2. So one of them is R, that is x1, y1, and then for P, 4, 5, it is x2, y2. Okay, and the slope is not given. That means we have to find the slope first. Okay, with the equation y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So slope of L2, it is equals to 5 minus 8 over 4 minus 0. So it is equals to negative 3 over 4. So afterwards, we just simply apply the equation of straight line. So equation of L2, it is equals to y minus y1. So in the question, in the figures, we state that x1 and y1 are the coordinates of R. That means 0 and 8. So y1 is equal to 8. Okay, for the right hand side, it is equals to the slope negative 3 over 4 times x minus x1, which is 0. And finally, y minus 8 equals to negative 3 over 4 x, and y is equals to negative 3 over 4 x plus 8. Okay, and this is the end of the examples. So for the remaining time, 2 classwork or 2 quick patterns will be given. Okay. So please finish the quick patterns and the assignment will be given you later. Okay.